All right. Okay, so good afternoon to you. I think I did not yet say hi to Oscar, Vincent, and David, and Jared. Good. So there's nothing new this week to announce except that we do have PA6 doing this weekend, and 4 quizzes will be doing this weekend. Okay, and some of these quizzes will be less trivial than the quizzes last week. All right. So now let's check out the topics. Okay. Okay, so there's just one very short video Polly owes you that is just to summarize RDT 2.1. Okay, so here's the summary. Now, this slide is called discussion, but what it does is really the summary of 2.1. So at the sender side, what's being special is this. Sender checks whether the ACK is corrupted. Okay. Now, in order to prevent having duplicate packets, the sender side now also assign a sequence number to the data packet sent. So it's either 0 or 1. And in order to track data packets carrying the sequence number, there are now twice the amount of states and twice the amount of the transitions. So the states somehow need to remember what is the expected sequence number. Receiver side, the primary function is to avoid receiving duplicate packets. So it would check the sequence number, whether it's a repeating sequence number. In that case, the packet is a duplicate. Okay. If that is the case, the data will not be extracted passed up to the application. It's just going to be discarded. But be careful. Receiver here seeing a duplicate, although not extracting data, not passing it up to the application, it will still what? Send an ACK out again. All right. Why? Because the former ACK or NACK being sent back to the sender. Yeah, only the sender knows whether the packet is corrupted. And if it's corrupted, the sender doesn't even know whether it's an ACK or NACK. So sender there is trying to be fuzzy and do the best thing that he can do, which is to repeat sending the data that has been previously sent. So receiver here needs to be more considerate. In case it's a duplicate packet, send back the ACK again, just in case it's an ACK packet being sent back and it's corrupted at the sender. Now, at least the sender will be informed. Everything is okay and move on. All right, so RDT 2.1 there is to handle packet corruptions from both ends, from the sender of data to receiver, as well as the sender of the feedback to the original data sender. Okay. Now, what's new this week is first RDT 2.2. So you see that this is a new minor version of RDT 2. something. And what's really new in RDT 2.2 is simply that instead of having 2 packet types, positive acknowledgement, that is ACK, negative acknowledgement, that is NAK, instead of having 2 different types of feedback, we send only ACK. But to indicate whether this ACK is positive or negative, we use sequence number to distinguish them. Okay, so first video is about the idea of RDT 2.2, how we use a sequence number, to allow separation of positive versus negative acknowledgements. RDT 2.2, it's essentially the same as 2.1, except here. It's going to be the NAC-free version of 2.1. By saying that, what I meant is, well, in 2.1, when the packet arrives at the receiver, we send positive acknowledgement, that is ACK. Well, in case that data packet is corrupted, we send a negative acknowledgement, that is NAK. Now, as a result, we do have like 2 packet formats, right? One says I am acknowledgement, the other says I'm negative acknowledgement. So RDT 2.2 here is essentially to say, let's not have 2 different packet formats, just have 1 acknowledgement packet, but adds a bit in the acknowledgement packet, and we change the bit, the value in the bit, to indicate whether it's really a positive acknowledgement or a negative acknowledgement. All right. So same functionality as 2.1, but using only ACK packet. But the ACK packet will be carrying an extra bit. That is also the sequence number. Okay, so that is the sequence number bit. Okay, and the value in the sequence number bit is going to tell the sender whether this is a positive acknowledgement or a negative acknowledgement. All right, so now we have, a NAC-free protocol. Receiver sends acknowledgement packet for the last packet received. Okay. Think a little bit about it. So the receiver starting from waiting for call from below 0, right? So if packet 0 is received okay, receiver here sends acknowledgement for packet 0 because packet 0 received okay. The last packet received okay is what? Sequence number equals 0. Now go to wait for call from below packet 1. So if packet 1 arrives at the receiver and it's corrupted, what does receiver do? Which packet is the last received being okay? Well, 1 is not okay. So still sending ACK packet, but sequence number bit there is 0 again. All right. But at the sender side, what's going to happen is sender will receive the first ACK with sequence number 0, right? Indicating packet 0 is received okay. But sender there is going to receive another sequence number 0 ACK. Ooh. Hey, how come I get acknowledgement for sequence number 0 twice? Yeah, having duplicate acknowledgement at a particular sequence number that indicates the next data packet that sender just sent out was corrupted. A negative acknowledgement in a way. So receiving duplicate is essentially signaling, sender is sending a NAC, right? So sender there will have to what? Retransmit the packet that's last sent. All right, so that is the idea. Okay, duplicate ACK is negative ACK. Okay, so now let's check out the finite state machine of RDT 2.2, and this time we'll start from looking into the receiver side of our finite state machine. Now let's try to develop RDT 2.2's finite state machines. So here what we will do is to borrow from 2.1 and start from the receiver side of the finite state machine. All right, so initial state is wait for 0 from below. So we're expecting data 0, and we get 1 if it's not corrupted and indeed carrying sequence number 0. Then we extract data, pass it up to the application layer, generate an ACK packet with the checksum, and then send it out. Now, if it's 2.2, we'll be generating an ACK packet, all right, but this ACK packet should be carrying a sequence number, isn't it? And according to 2.2, the sequence number should be the last data packet received okay. Now, what is the sequence number of the data packet received okay? Well, we just actually received 0. So, yep, you're correct. The ACK packet we're generating here for RDT 2.2 should carry sequence number 0. And so once we finish all the actions, we'll be finishing the transition and move to the next state, wait for 1 from below. And if we get packet 1 coming in, passing these conditions, so indeed carrying sequence number 1 in this data packet, then similarly, we take the data out, generate ACK, and send it out. And here, the ACK sequence number will be what? Data 1, the sequence number that we just received. So as a result, we could actually conclude the receiver side of RDT 2.2 should look more like this, and I'm ignoring the upper right part of the receiver's finite machine. So receiving a packet, not corrupted, carrying sequence number 1. The ACK packet will be generating, of course it needs to be an ACK packet format, carrying checksum. It also carries what? The sequence number of the data we just received, okay, and which is 1 here. So for this other transition at the top, then it will be make packet 0 ACK checksum. Now, hey, the receiver side of RDT 2.1 actually have all these other transitions, right? So we only handle this part and extend it to 2.2. We will still have to extend these transitions so that it will work for 2.2. Now, these are actually exact mirror of each other, so let's just focus on one side. Okay. Now, let's pick this transition first and see if we could evolve it as well into 2.2. So this is receiving a data packet, but it's corrupted. So in 2.1, we send a negative acknowledgement. But for 2.2, we don't send negative acknowledgement packets anymore because we don't have that format. Instead, we send ACK. But we have to carry a specific sequence number to indicate whether this is really a positive acknowledgement or a negative acknowledgement. So, the rule of thumb generating the sequence number there is what? Who is the last data packet received okay? Now, receiver is currently waiting for data 0 coming from below. So what that means is that the last packet received okay should be carrying sequence number 1. So ACK here should give the sequence number of the data packet last received okay. So yep, it should be ACK1 here that we're sending back to the data center. Now, what about this other transition? Receiving a packet, not corrupted, but carrying sequence number 1. This is not the data 0 we're expecting. All right. How can this be happening? Yeah, so this is the very odd situation where the previous data, ACK, being sent back to the sender gets corrupted, if you recall. Yeah, ACK packet or negative acknowledgements can be corrupted now, right, in version 2. Now, if negative acknowledgement is corrupted, sender simply retransmit, no problem. But if positive acknowledgement gets corrupted, sender also retransmit. And that is this odd situation here. You already sent back an acknowledgement for data 1, and yet it's receiving data 1 again. Yep. So this is the situation. ACK packet gets corrupted, and so you're receiving a duplicate of data 1. So we do not extract data and pass it up to the application because that's going to repeat words, repeat letters, repeat sentences. Okay. So we only send back ACK. And this ACK should be what? Acting the last packet received okay, therefore also carrying sequence number 1. Okay. Now, if you look at this guy and this guy, both transitions, the actions they'll be taking will be identical now, right? Both sending acknowledgement packets carrying sequence number 1. So then perhaps we could just combine the two transitions. Receive a packet from below, checking if it's corrupted, or carrying sequence number 1, send ACK packet 1. Right? And you know what? ACK packet sequence number 1 is already being generated here. Send PKT, if you do not replace this variable's value, it will remain the same. And so if we just simply call this, then yeah, we just combine the two transitions and make it very brief, like this. RDT, either corrupt or carrying sequence number 1, simply send back the send packet that has been generated here, which is an ACK with sequence number 1. Okay, not so bad, right? The receiver side of RDT 2.2, it's a lot more compact than 2.1. And we have not yet talked about the sender side, okay? So it's very similar. We gradually redevelop the sender side of finite state machine and turn it into a NAC-free RDT. Now let's try to develop the sender's finite state machine. Again, let's borrow 2.1's sender finite state machine and start from there. This is the initial state. We wait for call from above. And if there is 1, then we generate starting from packet 0. And then we enter that wait for ACK next state. Now, in case a NAC is in, we do have this is NAC check, isn't it? Okay. So if that is the case, we retransmit the data. Otherwise, everything is fine, and this is a positive ACK, so we do nothing and move to the next state and gets a call again from above. But the thing in 2.2 is this. Well, there's no such thing as negative acknowledgement packet. In fact, both positive, both negative acknowledgements are just ACK and carrying different sequence numbers. So this will also be a is ACK check, okay? But the difference is going to be the sequence number they are expecting being different. So what should be the sequence number we expect here to pass so that we move on to the next state? We are expecting 0, right? So the sequence number here should be carrying 0. So we should be checking is ACK and particularly sequence number being 0. Therefore, we can move on. Send the next packet. If everything goes well, we should be getting another ACK packet, then carrying sequence number what? 1, because we just sent out packet 1, right? Now, the NAC here, check can no longer be valid and will be also doing the is ACK check. But what should be the matching sequence number here to trigger this action? Well, we just send packet 0. If packet 0 was corrupted, the receiver would be what? Sending the last data packet received okay. So that should be what? Sequence number 1. Similarly, for the check here, it should also be is ACK, but sequence number what? 0. And that takes us to the sender side of the finite state machine. So we change this line as well as this line. So this line is what? Expecting 0, so check whether the sequence number equals 0. This is also now exact, and this should be carrying sequence number 1. All right, so that's all for RDT version 2, okay? The latest version 2.2. Next is quiz 19, and quiz 19 is the first quiz in this class that you will be experiencing, such that I'm actually posing a challenging question to you, okay, challenging problem to you, and force you to think what the solutions might be. And so that will bring out the essence of RDT 3.0 and the solution behind RDT 3.0. So let's check out quiz 19. Okay, so Polly likes to read, okay, and this is borrowed from a very popular novel series, The Lord of the Ring. Okay, so guys, now we are in the Middle Age, all right? And the stage is this. It's now the Battle of the Helm's Deep. So where's the Helm's Deep? It's actually here, okay, in the middle of the map here. And this is within the region of this kingdom called the Kingdom of Rohan. Okay, so Rohan are these, tall horseman people. But the thing is this, okay, so these horseman people, they are under attack by this guy's troop, Saruman, the Dark Wizard's troops. Okay, so these troops are pushing in and trying to get the horseman people extinct or out of Helm's Deep. Okay. So the trouble here is this, the king of Rohan, okay, there are too few of them, okay, so they need to call for help from particularly people here, Gondor. So where is Gondor in the map? It's actually down here. Okay, down here. Okay, so the king of Rohan is sending a messenger, okay, through the White Mountain to reach Gondor and send the message to call for help. But you see, White Mountains, okay, they are full of this thing, okay, yeah, orcs, okay. So these orcs feast on people, okay, so they eat people, all right. So these messengers can disappear, okay, in the middle of crossing the White Mountain. So now pretend you are Gandalf the Wise. How are you going to make sure that messenger, okay, reaches Gondor and Gondor people gets the call for help? Okay? And you know what? This is actually very similar to what RDT 3.0 is trying to address. Because I think last week, right, some of you guys asked, what if you have packet loss, right? Until now, RDT 2.1, 2.2, all we are considering are just having bit errors. So we could do like, packet corrupt check. Okay. But what if the packets don't arrive at all? Okay. Then you don't, RDT 2.2 won't work, 2.1 won't work. Okay. So RDT 3.0 is trying to address this issue. Okay. But you see, we've seen this problem again and again, here and there, in Middle Age or now, right? How do you make sure the messages not get lost? Okay. How do you make sure that Gondor gets the call for help? Okay. Now, guys, the reason that I borrow from the Lord of the Ring is that, yes, of course, you can assume that you have supernatural power, okay? Because as Gandalf being a powerful wizard, yes, you can use superpower, but you can also be practical, all right? So you are Gandalf the Wise. You are helping the king of Rohan, trying to provide strategy to send a messenger through the White Mountain to avoid being eaten by the orcs. Okay, so this is very similar as you have a sender, receiver, and from the sender you have data going out, and there are these routers in the middle, and these routers don't have infinite buffer space. So some of these buffer might be eaten by the routers. How do you make sure your packets arrive at the data destination? All right, so that is the question. That is quiz 19. So let's go to W9 quiz 19. And for this quiz, gather your teammates. You have 8 minutes of time to discuss. Okay? And feel free to type all the answers provided by all the teammates. And let's go. Okay, so it looks like we don't need the whole 8 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so I see some very interesting solutions. For example, Gandalf here is very, very powerful, going from one novel to another novel to Harry Potter's world to borrow the invisibility code. Okay. All right. So that way, the messengers can just put the cloak on, right? And travel through the White Mountains without being spotted by the orcs. Sure. And teammate, let's see. Okay, so hey, Rick, this is what exactly in the novel, right? So there are these, fire stations that they get light up, okay, and it's propagated one station to another and eventually reach the other end of the mountain. Okay. Yeah, this is also called the multi-hub routing. So these fire station is considered a router, right? So from here, from one station to another station, once the signal is detected, the fire is set up, okay, and to relay on. Okay, so that is a way of doing routing. Yeah, that's how they do it in the novel. Yeah. And Sean. Yeah, so this very interesting. Yeah, so resend the messenger to Gondor if we don't get a reply after some time, right? Chances high that that messenger is eaten by the orcs. Yeah, it's just that, hey, you probably don't want to wait too long because otherwise, right, Saruman's troops might be just, under the castle. Okay, and in fact, the Rohan people might have been all dead. Okay, so maybe not wait for too long. Let's see, Ethan representing Team 11. Yeah, same thing, right? After a while, if there's no messenger coming back, then hey, be worried and send the messenger again. Okay, so second solution is interesting. So instead of sending one messenger, we send like a team of messengers, okay? And every 10 mile, okay, send one of the messenger back to Rohan, right? And so that the king knows a little bit better, okay, how far the team has reached. Okay, so you know a little bit better how the progress is. But if in the end the whole team is eaten by orc, the message still didn't get through, isn't it? Let's see. Team 2. Oh, use sequence numbers. The tour should be sequential. I see. You mean the fire station, right? To make sure that the completeness of okay. Okay, so you're thinking that we might be sending a long message, right? And that long message is cut into smaller packets, just like in transport layer, we have several segments generated from a long message from the application layer. Okay, and you want to use a sequence number to make sure that all of the packets arrive at the destination. Good. So we are not missing any of the individual packet. Good. Implemented timeout mechanism. Yeah, it seems that that seems to be the only way, right? You wait, if there's no reply, you ask the Gondor people to reply, or ask the messengers to come back, right? Then this way the king knows for sure the message came through. So timeout mechanism. But we see that from earlier team that you probably don't want it to be too long, and you probably don't want it to be too short either, right? That way you'll be sending a lot of messengers out. Okay, use checksum as well, because hey, there could still be bit errors, right? or there could be, you know, ranks and that ruins the writing on the message, okay, or some sips through the envelope and mess the writing inside the envelope. Mark. Team 1, send a group of messengers in every X distance. Okay, I think that is very similar to Team 11's solution. Let's see, Team 7 from Oscar. Set an appropriate time. If there's no reply, okay, very clever. Okay, I guess the tricky part is how do you define that time, right? Oh, take a detour. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so White Mountain is very risky. Okay, so how about you know, a walk around the White Mountain? It might be a longer route, but it might be smoother. Okay, the message might in the end cross. Okay, instead of, you know, disappearing. Masquerades orcs, sure. I think, you know, make it one of those cosplay events. And everyone will cosplay themselves as, every messengers will cosplay themselves as orcs. Sure. I guess the trick here is, you know, you need to be, you know, very experienced to make sure the costume looks very similar, okay, to real orcs. Let's see. Min Lun. Set a timeout. Assume the message is dead. If we don't see anything after timeout. Never read Lord of the Rings. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, seriously, sorry. It was a wonderful story. Okay. I suppose we can send someone who understands Orcish. Very civil, Minlun. Very civil. Team 12. Very civil. You talk, right? That's not eat each other. Okay, that's talk. Sit down and talk. Okay. That is an approach that I take a lot as well. Okay. That's don't get all that emotional, right? Why don't we just sit down, right? Calm down and talk. Okay. I think as human beings, we might be able to provide alternative ways of, you know, acquiring food for the orcs, and they might like the ideas because there are plenty of food sources around. Okay. Telling Gandalf the Grey Wizard to use some kind of teleportation. Yeah. Yeah, teleportation. It will be then Star War. Yeah. Okay. That's another novel. Okay, that's, you know, way in the future. Team 9, let's see. If the messenger doesn't come back in limited time. Guys, you get it, right? To be practical, you kind of need to wait for some time. Okay. Smoke. Then nobody will be at risk. All right. Yeah, I think masquerading, detouring, or find alternative routes. Okay, those are all very interesting approach to get around the problem. Okay. Okay, you can also use smoke to indicate receiving the message from Gondor. Okay. But I hope that the distance is not too far, though. Okay, when it's too far, you don't see the smoke anymore. Send 100 people at a time. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So send more than there are. Send more messengers than there are of orcs. So they'll be busy eating some of the messengers, and then the rest get to, you know, hike through the mountain. Good. Oh, Team 10. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, Team 10. I have to say, this is the most creative team here. Okay. Use Gandalf's magic. Telepathy. Yeah. Firewall magics. I love the firewall magics of Gandalf. Okay. Don't you like that? Since firewall tells the orc the message you can use. Interesting. Wear the magic ring. Okay. Okay. But you see, this ring needs to get to the um, I forgot exactly the name of, get to the other mountain where there's a big fire so that the ring can be melted. Okay, so that is the source of evil, in fact. But yeah, you can exploit it, but I don't know, you need to get the hobbits back to Helm's Deep to get the rings. Okay. Since passing through the orc is dangerous, but maybe orcs are not good at airborne. Sure, fire a drone over there. Yeah, so have the drone have the drone carry the Starlink receiver, right? Then you can control the drone as long as there is satellites, okay, or Starlink satellites. So maybe magic is not the solution. We can clean the orcs. Oh, oh, okay. But hey, have sympathy of the orcs, right? Oh, you say they don't have guns? Send a soldier. Okay. All right, let's take things easy with the guns, all right? Sit down and talk. Team 5, small signal, magic beacon, distress beacon. Oh, that, okay. Yeah, sure. When it's bright enough, yeah, it travel longer distance. Okay, cool, Cedric. Team 4, eagles. Yeah, of course. Gandalf made friends with all these, species in the natural world. That is amazing. I find that one of the amazing power of Gandalf. If you can just talk to these animals, you might have known the world a lot better. Hey, who detects earthquakes faster? I found that my cats detect the earthquakes faster than I do. If after a certain time there's no response, send another eagle. Exactly. Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, there could be people who manage to shoot the eagles down and roast them. Okay? Yeah, I hope not, but yeah. Good, so hey, fun, and some of you actually managed to find practical solutions. I think cosplay, that's one way. Detour, that's one way. But many of you say commonly send more passengers. Redundancy is one way. Okay, hope one of the copy get through. And more of you say, in case you don't have that many messengers, in case you want to conserve your human power, send one messenger only. Then you might want to think about setting a time. Okay, when it's time out. Let's try it again. Okay, send another one. All right. You know what? That is the general idea of RDT 3.0, in fact. Okay. And today, we'll just have the time to give you RDT 3.0, the mechanism. This video is, 5 minutes long. Now, the last version of RDT, the RDT 3.0. In version 3, we're going to make it very general. So there could be bit errors in the data packet in the acknowledgement packets, but there could also be losses of the data packets or the acknowledgement packets. So the new assumption here is very general. The underlying channel might have bit errors, but it might also have packet losses, both at the data side as well as the ACK side. Now, all these mechanisms we have in version 2, checksum, X, retransmission, and the sequence numbers to avoid duplicates will help, but only help for, bit errors. So, in case of packet losses, not enough. So we need to add extra mechanisms. And the extra mechanism is this. The sender waits for some amount of time for the ACK to come back. If the ACK does not come back within the time window, then retransmit the packet. Okay, so retransmit the data packet if no ACK comes back within that timeout interval. All right, so what we're doing here is to require setting of a countdown timer per data packet being sent. Okay, so when the data being sent, timer gets started. That timer is going to tick. If ACK comes in before the timer expires, cancel the timer. If there's no ACK coming in and the timer expires, retransmit the data packet. Right? So that's pretty much all to address the packet loss issue. Now, hey, some of you might be wondering, what should be the timeout interval there, right? Hey, internet delay could be changing quite a lot over time. So these data packets can be just delayed, or the ACK packets coming back can just be delayed. So in case they are slightly longer than the timer that we have set up, then we will be retransmitting data unnecessarily. Yes, okay. Some of the retransmissions might be unnecessarily a duplicate. Just like when ACK is corrupted, the retransmission from the data sender in 2.1 is also unnecessary. But it's okay. We already have the mechanism right there, which is the sequence number. That's going to address the duplicate issue. So no worry. Even though if we didn't set the timer quite right, it's just that there'll be a lot more unnecessary retransmission if the countdown timer is too short. All right. So hey, determining what is the duration for the countdown timer, that is also an art. We'll also see later in TCP how that is calculated, how that is estimated. All right. So yeah, sequence number is necessary again in RDT 3.0. The receiver needs to specify the sequence numbers for the ACKs, just like the data side needs to specify the sequence numbers for the data packets. And this is RDT 3.0 sender. Well, the usual technique, yeah, let me draw a line. So we just focus on one side of it, you'll see that the other side is similar. So what do we have here? Starting from the initial state, yeah, get a call from above, generate the packet, starting from sequence number 0, and what? Wow, we have these timer stuff, right? Starting a timer. And this is the transition next. If everything is going smoothly, receiving an ACK, it's not corrupted, and it's indeed ACK for 0. Then what? Stop timer. Now, if things don't go all that well and the timer expires, then retransmit the packet and start the timer again because, hey, we just sent the data again. Then the timer needs to be refreshed. Yeah. Now, what is a bit unusual is in this transition. So what is this transition in 2.2? Well, yeah, the packet coming back from the receiver, if it's corrupted or if it's clear that it's a negative acknowledgement, previously what did we do? We retransmit packet, right? Like calling UDT send packet here. But we actually do what? Nothing this time. Would that work? If it's, yeah, corrupted ACK or a negative acknowledgement, and we do nothing, would that work? You know what? Hey, there's this transition, right? Yeah, so sender here would just not work in case we get this explicit, okay, signals from the receiver, something is wrong. But eventually the timer is going to fire as well. So that packet is going to be retransmitted. It's just that, hey, with these situations, we're just, going to wait. So we'll just always wait until timeout. Right. How do you like that?
Okay, so those who like that, say 1. Those who say, who don't like, just wait, say 2. Okay, so before you go, tell me 1 or 2, and that's call it a day. Okay, so that's all for today. Tomorrow, you see, we'll be going through a few examples about RDT 3.0. Oh, okay, Mark says 1. Okay, interesting. Okay, I thought that you guys don't like to wait. Okay, 1 is don't wait. 1 is wait, 2 is don't wait. Okay. Okay, 1 is liking to wait, 2 is not liking to wait. Oh, okay. Hey, actually, it's about even. We have a similar amount of 1s and 2s. Tomorrow we'll go through a few examples of RDT 3.0. You will see that, hey, waiting is not so bad. It's not so good, but it's not so bad either. It's in fact a trade-off. All right. So there's a very special scenario where, hey, you guys were working the quiz 19, right? You set a timeout interval. If it's too long, not good, right? You wait for too long. If it's too short, what's going to happen is you send the messenger again too early. That is called a premature timeout. Okay. So tomorrow morning, 10:20, we'll walk through these examples and you will see, this weird case where you see waiting is not so bad. Okay, those who say 1, you might be right. Those who say 2, of course, you're also right. You don't like to wait. Good. So that's all for today, and bye. I see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Go. See ya. Okay, bye. Oh. Okay, so let me see if I can find an eagle here. Do we have an eagle here? Oh, I have parrots, turkey. Oh, I don't have eagle. Oh, there, bald eagle. That's cool. Alright, so, okay, bye. Let's see. End stream.